Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. The South African government has decided to incorporate the technical staff and expertise of SunSpace into the space agency, rather than taking a majority equity stake in the microsatellite company. I'm joined today by Keith Campbell to tell us more. Keith, welcome to Second Take. Can you give us a bit of insight into government's decision on SunSpace and how it transpired?
Well, what we know comes from a written answer to a parliamentary question that was released by the Ministry of Science and Technology. And in this, the Minister, Derek Hanekom, revealed that the government did not believe that SunSpace could stand on its own 2 feet without a significant and continuing government support. He stated in the answer that they had asked for a business plan from SunSpace shareholders. They'd received the business plan, but they'd not been convinced by it. Now, the interesting thing is that this follows after the submission to the government of 2 reports by 2 separate companies on SunSpace. One report by Deloitte and one report by a company called Savant Analytic. Now, Deloitte listed 3 options for the government in their report. 1, let SunSpace go under and lose all the expertise. 2, take a majority shareholding, 90% shareholding in SunSpace. 3, incorporate the technical staff of SunSpace into the South African National Space Agency. Deloitte recommended option 2, that SunSpace be basically bought out by the government, and they suggested using what they called a NewCo structure for the enterprise, as the current SunSpace is technically insolvent, and that such a NewCo structure would protect the government from unforeseen or unexpected contingencies. Now, Savant Analytic did recognise that to be profitable, SunSpace would have to increase its business by something like 85% over the 2011 figure, which sounds quite a lot, but speaking from my point of view, remembering the low level of activity of the company in 2011, that actually amounts to an order for 1 or 2 microsatellites. And we know that Kenya was interested in acquiring a microsatellite from South Africa, and that Algeria might also be interested. So there's also, of course, South Africa's own requirement for a microsatellite for the African Resource and Environmental Management Constellation project, which includes Kenya, Algeria, and Nigeria. So the potential was there, but the government decided to go for option 3, incorporate the technical staff of SunSpace into the space agency.
Now, what does this mean for the future of SunSpace?
Well, it doesn't look good. As I said, the company is known to be technically insolvent. If the technical staff are incorporated into the South African National Space Agency, SunSpace as a company disappears. Now, what happens in terms of the ability to market satellites to other countries is much more unclear. The expertise to produce microsatellites would still exist in South Africa. They could presumably be built, provided the government provides the budget. But whether the space agency, which is not a commercial company, is set up to commercially market these satellites on the international market, that's a big question.
More generally, Keith, what progress is being made in terms of space developments elsewhere in Africa?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, Kenya, Algeria, Nigeria, South Africa have this project for the African Resource and Environmental Management Satellite Constellation Program, which is not going very fast, largely because of delays on the South African side. The National Treasury here has authorised 100 million rand for the project, but it needs 400 million rand to build a worthwhile microsatellite. Meanwhile, the Algerians are pushing ahead with their own space program. They have an Earth observation microsatellite in orbit built by the European company Astrium. That's the second microsatellite to replace an earlier one. And they have plans to assemble another one to the same design, but assemble it in Algeria with engineers who've been trained by Astrium. And there is a program for further microsatellites after that. And of course, Nigeria is driving on very firmly with its program. It currently has 2 operational Earth observation microsatellites in orbit. Both were built in the United Kingdom by a company called Surrey Satellite Technology Limited, which is actually an autonomous subsidiary of Astrium. But one of those satellites was assembled by Nigerian engineers and technicians, and the Nigerians are driving forward firmly to be able to fulfill their ambition to assemble satellites in their own country. The Nigerians also have an operational communications satellite in orbit, which also belongs to their space agency. So the Nigerians and Algerians are moving forward steadily in space, and I think the big problem in South Africa is it seems not to be moving forward steadily. It seems at the moment to be kind of stop-go and currently in a stop phase.
Keith, thank you very much. That is the Second Take show for this week. Thank you for watching, and join us again next time for more news analysis.